Okay, I'm doing this because I want to know that this is number three here. Because I start putting these up and my little phone doesn't exactly work just right. So I'm going to take it down now. This is number three. And I want to finish about Ron Ziegler, who was of the Nixon administration, and I've told about the 18.5 minute gap on the Watergate um, committee subpoenaed on the tape that had Kissinger, Henry Kissinger, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, actually from the White House, right there with Nixon. And I can't remember the other man's name. I'll think of it later, maybe, that said right after then, I'm in control, is what he said. He was saying he was. I've forgotten his name, but Kissinger was the one that was in control, really, the Illuminati, I guess, because he was on there. And the secretary for Nixon tried to cover all this up. They subpoenaed it during the Watergate hearings, and of course, they're not going to tell about the Illuminati taking down my dad, Edward VIII, and who was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, my mom from Madison, Wisconsin, sister to artist Georgia O'Keefe, and imposing George, the illegal George VI, on the British with Elizabeth to follow, and she's way up in the Illuminati. Most of my family are, I'm sad to say. I really am. Of course I am. They anyway, to not keep going here. I mean, this is either going to be told it's or it's not about the mind control murders I started out writing about, and I hope. I'm going to go ahead and put this up. You can get the gist. If this sounds, I don't have a secretary. I don't have anybody that I know of helping me do this. Um, Quite frankly, I'm tired and I can't hear hardly either because of an infection I have, and I hope I'm not losing my hearing. Uh, well, I just lost my train of thought, so maybe she's right. I'm demented. I don't think so, dear. And if this is ever told, you want to walk up and tell me that then? That is mean, honey. Really mean, honey. Okay, let me just give this now. This connects, you've got Nixon and you got the 18.5 minute gap where they got the real Queen of England laid out going to lobotomize her if the Brits and my family don't cross their palm with whatever ransom. So there's been ransom paid all these years. And you can get on YouTube and you can treat me like the crap the crimes and pain and suffering, and get away with it unless you stand before God is really it. I mean, that's it. The Illuminati controls your press, and quite frankly, I'm going to say it again. I hope Donald Trump's the good guy, not good cop, bad cop. Nancy Pelosi. Somebody ask how she can ask this question. Suddenly, all this commotion about her, and she's all you can see on TV, and Chucky Boy Schumer. And I want to ask you people, you stop and think about it. You're made uncomfortable at the moment with the shutdown and not getting checks. Stop and think about it. The long term or shorter term. What are you going to do if all this mass of people start coming across the border? Somebody made the statement last night, I heard, well, they'll come across from Canada. Well, excuse me, Canada's still part of the British. Uh, they make up anything to sidetrack it, okay? Um, Maybe Canada should build a wall, you think? Anyway, have you ever thought about the jobs, the chaos? It's the chaos that it would cause. Then you're going to start saying, oh, Donald Trump, President Trump, please come back, build the wall. What's your solution for all this? If you want to just hand it over, go ahead and hand everything over and get it done with. And I'm going to get back to this now and shut up, because I'm sure there's people hearing this that don't like to hear this, just like the person, and I've been called that more than once, I'm sure, and crazy and all these other lies. that they know better. So they're getting their jabs at me, quite frankly, because they don't care what happened to me. People who make these comments are loving it. So anyway, Ron Ziegler, I went to work for him for a week, was called, or 2 weeks maybe, I can't remember. But there's got to be, if anybody cared, records of this with telesecretary out of Kensington. I worked for them previously, way back in that summer when I went up there during the shooting of Reagan, and he was under and the Jodie Foster crap that had nothing to do with it. He was under mind control, and his parents had just had dinner that night before the shooting with the Bushes. So anyway, Ron Ziegler, I'm going to read this. So you got the connection, if nothing else, but all of its connections and links between Ron Ziegler and Nixon and Kissinger office and the Watergate tape and hearings. And I'm going to go here and tell you about Ron Ziegler. So I'm out there. I've told you the time, between November the 16th of 83. Let me put this up here so I won't, this woman doesn't have to look at my nose. She wants my whole face. But I'm demented, she said, among other things. Have fun, honey, just in case one day this is over. It says, I'm just going to read here because I just read where I worked. It was Truck Stop Operations, National Association of Truck Stop Operators out of Alexandria, Virginia, and I was living across from Seven Corners. I think that was Greenwood Drive, or I can't remember. It was right back. Lord and Taylor's used to be on that side of the street. Here, right in front of me, across a little side street there was Seven Corners. So then you go from Falls Church into Alexandria, and where I worked. I thought, well, it's still going. Excuse me. Anyway, I've made those connections. I mean, they're all throughout it, links that can't be just coincidence, for goodness sake. Anyway, I'm just going to read from this. I tell you what, I was receptionist. I am going to go ahead and tell this, and if it doesn't get up, I'm not going to do another one right now. Maybe not today. Because I don't know if it's doing any good at all. Well, maybe I won't. I'm just going to put it down, I think, in a minute. Anyway, Ron Ziegler, I'm just going to read from this, worked with Henry Kissinger, the whole H.R. Haldeman, I guess. Let me read it. 1969, just 29 years position throughout the administration, most abused press secretary in history. So this is said when I Googled it. Ziegler worked with H.R. Haldeman, who later served as Nixon's White House chief of staff at J. Walton Thompson advertising firm. 1969, when just 29, Ziegler became the youngest White House press secretary in history. Ziegler was the White House press secretary during the political scandal known as Watergate. Okay, let me turn this back. Wish I had all the goodies that, 1974, Ron Ziegler became to Nixon. To President Nixon. Assistant or something to President Nixon, in a period following the resignation of such senior officials as Haldeman, Ehrlichman, became one of Nixon's closest allies and confidants and aides. During the impeachment process against Richard Nixon not to resign, So it makes it sound like he's his friend. Ziegler appeared before the Congress at least 33 times. In 1988, Ziegler became president and chief executive of the National Association of Chain Drugstores in Alexandria, Virginia. So that was after I was there, and what I've just told you, I worked there for the Truck Stop Association, I think now. See, this is anyway, I've already put that up. The thing is, in the conversation when I worked the week or 2 weeks there for Ron Ziegler at this National Association of Truck Stop in Alexandria, 84. I think it would have been January or February of 84, not November, December, but I'm not sure. But there's got to be records through Secretary out of Kensington. There was a ghost, people working there in the office, about 5, the best I can remember, and I was secretary. And I found out it was Ron Ziegler, and it shocked me that run it. Well, they were having a show out in Vegas. I got a phone call, and the man was very friendly. He said, "Who's answering my phone?" He was nice to me. I don't remember. He talked for a few minutes. I don't remember, but it was Ron Ziegler. Now then, they were nice to me in that office. They really were. They were meant to call me to come out, and it was meant to be. So it made me wonder, Ron Ziegler, was he deep throat, really? And anyway, I'll tell you what they did, too. He seemed to be such a nice guy. Here's what they did. They were told to do it. I'm sitting at the desk, and I come in the next morning, and there's this Rolodex that they used back then before all the, computers and like this itty-bitty phone I'm holding. And suddenly, by the time I sit down at the desk, the other girl comes out of the office and says, "Oh my gosh, we didn't mean to leave this out. It's supposed to be put in the safe." Now then, is that the way it exactly happened? I remember her coming and picking it up, but I also remember, they meant for me to do it. I went through as much as I could, that Rolodex, and I either Xeroxed the cards with all the press's names on it, all these people. It says about this in the little thing when I Googled it about, well, he was press secretary to Nixon, so he'd have all their phone numbers and everything. And so I got down as many as I could, and it had their addresses, they had their children's name, had Ron Ziegler's home address, all this, just name after name. So I got a lot of them, Diane Sawyer's, and I don't remember, what was the other woman that, Barbara Walters. None of them would speak to me. Nope. And I did try after I left there, but my point is they meant for me to get the numbers, and then she suddenly comes in and pretends, "Oh, we meant to lock this up, has to be locked up in the safe." So if this is ever over, excuse me. I'm not going to tell her name. Because there's been some others, of course, that have said nasty's over, throughout all this. Unless it's ever brought before court of law, and the Illuminati press cannot control it and subdue the truth anymore. And I don't think Donald Trump needs me to defend him, but I hope he's a good guy, because I've seen him that way. I think he is. Don't let him be a part of this garbage dump. And he has a beautiful wife and children. Okay, and I'm not making any kudos for that. I just think they are. And that's all, I guess. I think that was it.